Yeah. Well, I want to dive into the agriculture side of things a lot because when I originally reached out to you, I said we haven't ever really had somebody dive deep into the agricultural side of things. And so let's just start high level. Like, how do you define or how is regenerative agriculture defined?
So I like to think about it like if the soil is a bank account, we are in an extractive situation. And so we're just taking. Well, if you, let's say, inherited a bunch of money from your parents and you just spend and spend and spend, but you don't create any value that's going back into your bank account, your bank account eventually is just empty. Well, that's what we're doing with our soil. We are growing food in such a way where we're just taking and we're not replenishing. And so regenerative agriculture is about creating healthy soil. That's the foundation of regenerative agriculture. And those practices that we use to create healthy soil are no-till or low-till, which is, if you think about the soil food web, the biology that's in the soil is all interconnected. And when you cut through it with a plow, you're breaking that all up. And there's mass death that happens. And that's all carbon that goes up into the atmosphere as all those microbiology dies. So how do we not disrupt that top 8 inches of topsoil? So that's the one thing. The next thing is animal integration, but we do something called mob density, high movement. So we're moving the animals every day, every other day, or sometimes twice a day. That's what we do here on the farm.
I'm sorry. Could you broke up just a little bit? What did you call the practice of moving the cows or cattle around?
Holistic planned grazing or mob grazing or high stock density with a lot of movement. We move our cows twice a day, and we have about 11,000 square feet, and then they get moved and moved so twice a day. And this way you're never having them on the soil for a long period of time doing damage. They're just disrupting the seed bed a little bit, and they're eating it down, they're peeing and they're pooping, and that's getting evenly dispersed on that ground. And then they're moved and they're moved and they're moved, and so it recovers very, very quickly, and it's growing more and more. And so when you walk through my field, there's massive amounts of life, birds and crickets and locusts and foxes and rabbits that are running out of that grass, that tall grass. But if you were to combine it with and feed hay or whatever, those animals would get all chopped up into the combine. And so there's a massive amount of life that lives in these ecosystems when you're doing this kind of grazing. So animal integration, no-till or low-till, less chemicals is another principle. And then biodiversity is another, like having many different things, not just relying on one crop and just having monocrops. And then the integration of perennials. So having a lot of perennials and annuals growing together. I have a new video coming out on YouTube like today or tomorrow or Saturday or whatever. That's going to show how we use the aisleways between, and I have older videos on YouTube too about it, where we use the aisleways between our fruit trees to grow vegetable gardens. So it's not like we're having massive acreage of broccoli and then we have an empty field and then we have something else, but that there is living roots always keeping that microbiology alive as we transition those annuals in between the perennials. So perennial integration. So those are really some of, and then cover crops. And I like to say the mother is modest, keep her covered. Whenever you have bare soil, there's death happening. And people might not know this, but 25% on the low end. There's some studies that say 50, as much as 58% of life on the planet lives in the top 8 inches of topsoil. Some studies say 25%. Let's say at the low end, if 25% of all life on the planet lives in the topsoil, well, we better take care of it. And we think about dolphins or polar bears or salmon or things that we can see that are going extinct. But that microbiology is 75% or 70% compatible with your gut microbiology. It is the foundation of all of life. It's your immune system. It's your mental health. It's your when you say your guttural instinct, it's that brain in your gut. It is that microbiology. And when we grow food in sterile environments, we're not replenishing that in the way it's meant to be replenished by healthy soil, by the food that we're eating. And so this is really important. It's not just about that microbiology, but it's about you and me and our physical health.
Wow. Wow.